In this video, we're diving into the meat-packed heart of Goa, India's smallest state with the biggest, boldest flavors. From exotic meats, so daring they'll test your limits, all the way to insane porky creations. Today, we're pushing boundaries and breaking culinary rules. But first, let's tackle an epic challenge, eating as many Goan foods as possible with just $5 in our pocket. Our first budget-friendly choice is a traditional Indian blue-collar breakfast staple, the Ras omelette. Originally a clever concoction to jazz up plain eggs and leftover curry, it's now the go-to grub for thrifty locals. This dish features a creamy egg omelette bathed in the liquid gold of charcuterie gravy, a hallmark of Goan Catholic cuisine, found at every corner of the city.
With the late night snacks basically. So people started roast omelette in the evening in the Gada. You get this roast omelette till 2 o'clock. It is like a fast food. And it came into the market about 35 years.
First up, let's conjure up the charcuterie gravy paste. In a pan, cue up the sunflower oil and coconut. Then add cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, star anise, and a smattering of poppy seeds, maize, and nutmeg. Toss in turmeric powder, dried chilies, garlic, and onions for good measure. Once sautéed to perfection, blend it all into a paste. Next, fire up the pan with a splash of sunflower oil and sauté diced red onions and green chilies. Then introduce our blended paste. Add a touch of water, letting it simmer until it's just right. Finish off the gravy with tender chicken chunks, boiled in turmeric water for that extra kick. Now for the star, our omelet. Crack open a few eggs into a cup, then toss in some chopped onions, chilies, salt, and coriander leaves, and give it all a good mix. Pour the egg mixture onto a greased tawa, seasoning with salt and chili powder, then give it a confident flip. Toast pav bread on the side with a bit of butter. Once the omelet is cooked, serve it with a charcuterie gravy on top. And garnish with chopped onions, coriander leaves, and a slice of lime. This egg treat is simply irresistible. The charcuterie gravy adds just the right kick to elevate this dish. Pair it with the buttery pav, and you've got yourself a budget breakfast that punches above its weight. And guess what? It's under $2. No need to break the bank, just break out your appetite and enjoy this bargain. For our second money-saving meal, brace yourselves for a sandwich that defies the laws of economics. I'm talking juicy beef nestled between two slices of bread, all for just $1. This snack is so sought after, it disappears faster than you can say, oh snap. In fact, the owner's motto is simple: 2 hours a day keeps the profit steady. And trust me, those 2 hours are all it takes for these sandwiches to sell out. Start by pounding thin beef cutlets into even thinner slices. These slices have been soaking up the flavors of a homemade chili marinade. A concoction of green chilies, red chilies, coriander seeds, black pepper, fennel seeds, nutmeg, star anise, cinnamon, garlic, onions, olive oil, and Goan vinegar. Next, each slice gets a cozy coat of semolina before taking a hot oil bath, crisping up to a perfect golden brown on all sides. Now onto the assembly line. Split a sandwich bun in half and load it up with a crispy cutlet and a generous helping of homemade cabbage salad. A blend of cabbage, onion, tomato, coriander, Goan vinegar, and salt. Finally, serve with a smile. Though beef can be a touchy subject everywhere in India, Goa has a knack for it, and this sandwich is $1 well spent. Succulent, juicy beef, seasoned just right with charcuterie gravy, sandwiched between crispy bread and a tangy salad. We're almost at the halfway point of our budget, and my wallet is already starting to feel the pinch. But my quest for affordable eats continues. Here in Goa, they've turned overlooked bones into a tasty treat priced at only $1.44, a budget-friendly dish that even the high rollers cannot resist.
So basically, when they had the whole pig, the main meat would go to make sausages or vindaloo, which was for the rich people or the high class. You get the ribs and spare ribs around. So this is the place where you get this admas from. And that was like the poor man's cut of meat, which became into a nice delicacy, and now it's shared all around Goa.
Meat admas, also known as bone and meat. This curry is one of the most preferred dishes among the locals here in Goa. Let's start with the aromatic admas masala. Mix together ginger, garlic, black pepper, cumin seeds, cinnamon, turmeric powder, dry red chilies, salt, Goan vinegar, and water. Then blend it all together. Now add the beef bones to this traditional aluminum pot called a patilla, followed by sliced onions, tamarind water, a pinch of salt, and a drizzle of oil. Then mix everything together. Add water, close the lid, and let it cook for a few hours. After that, add in our odd mas masala, mix, and let it cook a bit longer until the bones are fall off the bone soft. Forget bland porky dishes. This one hits you with a sour punch of vinegar and tamarind, perfectly balanced by the rich, slow-cooked pork that practically falls off the bone. But don't be fooled by the tanginess. There's a sneaky hint of spice that creeps up for a pleasant warmth, and just a touch of sweetness to keep things harmonious. At this quaint 45-year-old joint, you can snag a dish that's practically a meat avalanche, complete with a sauce that'll make you want to lick the plate. And the best part, it's just a tad over $2.
Pork chops we serve like plain also with just salad, or some customers they prefer with the sorpatel gravy on that and some salad and some in the bread.
Start by tenderizing those pork steaks with a hammer, like you're auditioning for the role of Thor in the next Marvel movie. They've been marinating overnight in a top-secret sauce that even the recipe books don't know about. I'm talking classified information, folks. Next, coat those pork chops in breadcrumbs and continue that tenderizing massage. Heat up some palm oil in a pan and drop in the pork chops until they're a glorious golden brown from all angles. Once they're nice and crispy from their fry-up, chop them into bite-sized pieces and serve them up with a dollop of sorpatel gravy and a side of cabbage salad. These pork chops are so crispy, they'll make your grandma's dentures jealous. With each bite, you'll savor the savory fried meat enveloped in a satisfyingly crunchy breadcrumb armor. And if it ever feels too dry, just douse it with some more sorpatel sauce or fresh salad. Finally, for our last budget-friendly option, we're diving into a taste of Mozambique that's found its way to Goa. And if you're thinking the Portuguese had a hand in it, well, you would then be spot on. The dish's name, cafriel. It pays homage to the African region of Cafraria. Let's kick things off by tossing some tomato and onion puree into a big pot. Then our homemade paste, boasting coriander, mint, chili, and a secret spice blend that's under lock and key. Now onto our poultry protagonists. These brave chicken pieces have been marinating overnight in a green masala so potent it could wake up the dead. Made with coriander, green chilies, ginger garlic paste, lime, and a dash of turmeric. Carefully submerge each piece into the pot and let them cook in a blend of sauces for 25 minutes. After that, it's time to serve. Chicken cafriel. It's like a flavor fireworks display. Each bite ignites your taste buds with fiery spices. Then it soothes them with the coolness of coriander, all while leaving a tangy trail of vinegar behind. So after trying the 5 cheapest eats in Goa, did we manage to stick to our budget? Unfortunately, no, we failed hard. But when we fail, we don't stop. We double down and crank up the intensity. So now, buckle up for the 5 most extreme dishes of Goa. For over 4 centuries, Goa was under Portuguese rule, leaving a lasting legacy, especially in the kitchen. One standout example, lingua asado, or roasted tongue, a quintessential Goan dish with deep Portuguese roots.
Lingua asada came into the menu because of public demand, because it's a delicacy. There are spices like clove, cinnamon, turmeric powder, black pepper, and it gives a fusion of taste. While the Portuguese food, lingua asada is just a plain blend thing cooked in wine and with some herbs and something like that. So the fusion of the Goan spice and the preparation of the Portuguese food gave on this very tasty dish.
Let's dive into the weirdness with a trusty pressure cooker, loaded up with a medley of spices, black pepper, cinnamon, dried red chilies, and bay leaves. Then sauté with chopped red onion until fragrant. Now introduce diced tomatoes, turmeric powder, ginger garlic paste, and a zesty squeeze of lemon, followed by a generous sprinkle of garam masala and the star of the show, the entire beef tongue. Season with salt, add water, and seal the lid for 40 minutes in order to create a tongue tenderizing sauna. Once tender, slice the tongue thinly and arrange it on a pan with crispy potato slices. Bite after bite, you're journeying through centuries of culinary convergence, where Portuguese influence intertwined with Indian spice expertise. The tongue's texture is tender yet slightly chewy, and its flavor, let's just say one taste is all it takes to get hooked for life. Next up, Bizarro level number 2. We're exploring a rare gem of Goan cuisine, the stingray. These creepy sea creatures may be slick, but in the hands of Goan chefs, they're tamed and trained for your taste buds.
Ambotik is basically, the name itself describes the dish. It's sour and spicy. We normally make it with shark because shark is available little more than stingray. I don't think there is any ban of it's forbidden to eat, but it's not like a staple. So only when it comes into the nets by mistake, then the fishermen bring it and sell it in the market.
Introducing Stingray Ambo Teak, where Ambo brings the tang and Teak brings the spice, creating a flavor explosion that's pretty dang good. This seafood curry sauce reigns supreme in Goa, adapting to various sea proteins. But today, it's all about the stingray. Start by tossing dried Kashmiri chilies into the blender. Toss in some cloves, black pepper, garlic, some tangy kokum, a dash of cinnamon, and for that extra spicy kick, dried Guntur chilies. As a wise man once told me, if it doesn't burn, it doesn't taste good. Now let's sizzle things up in a pan with some olive oil and red onions. Once they're nice and fragrant, toss in those aromatic curry leaves and our mixed spice paste. Let it simmer and thicken. Then gently introduce those tender stingray cuts for a delightful 10-minute soak. When they've soaked up all that flavor, it's time to serve up that stingray goodness. Prepare for a taste bud wake-up call with this delicious curry sauce. It's like a 1-2 punch of spice and tanginess. And let's talk about the stingray. This fish is so soft and flaky, it practically begs to be drenched in that flavorful masala. For our next level of bizarre, get ready for a Goan curry straight out of the 16th century. This dish is so old, it's practically archaeology on a plate, made with raw pork blood for that extra oomph. It's like experiencing life in the past, except you don't have to deal with that whole plague thing. Let's see if this ancient concoction stands the test of time, or if it's better left in the history books. Say hello to pork cabidela, a dish that's not afraid to get its hands dirty, or in this case, bloody. Originally a Portuguese recipe designed for poultry, here in Goa, they switched things up and used pork instead. First up, the masala. Gather your spices, including dried red Kashmiri chilies, cloves, ginger, garlic, cinnamon, and turmeric powder. Then blend them into a paste with a few spoonfuls of vinegar. Next up, it's time to get cooking. Heat up some oil in a clay pot and toss in those diced red onions and pork that's been marinating in vinegar. Sauté for a bit, then add our fresh homemade masala paste. Add water and let it simmer for around 45 minutes. After a good simmer, it's time for the piece de resistance, a French expression that I don't understand. But what it means here is that a few spoonfuls of raw pork blood are added, providing a perfect thickness and color to the mix. In a surprising turn of events, pork cabidela delivers a taste experience that's more tangy than bloody. The rich curry coats our soft pork chunks that were marinated to perfection in vinegar, offering a flavorful punch without any overwhelming iron notes from the blood. Soon, we'll see one of the most controversial proteins I have ever tried on this channel, an entire grilled baby shark. But first, let's have a look at our fourth bizarre contender, the rebellious oxtail. Beef is often off limits in many Indian regions, but in the audacious kitchens of Goa, it takes center stage. The stage Portuguese influence has turned this forbidden tale into a local culinary delight. Introducing Jiram Miram, where the bold flavors of cumin and pepper reign supreme. This versatile masala is a Goan staple, pairing perfectly with every protein imaginable. And yes, that goes for even the most controversial ones like oxtail. Let's start with the masala. Blend together cumin, cloves, cinnamon, black pepper, turmeric, and dry red chili until you get a fine powder. Now, the marination. Mix chopped oxtail with salt, turmeric powder, our Jiram Miram spice blend, and ginger garlic paste. Then let it marinate overnight. Yeah, sorry if you thought you were going to eat this soon. You're not. And it's the next day. Now let's get to cooking. Heat oil in a pot. Sauté chopped garlic and onions. Then add our marinated oxtail chunks. Pour in a bit of water, cover the pot, and let it simmer on a low flame for about 3 hours. Serve it up with boiled potatoes, carrots, and green beans for the ultimate indulgence. Oxtail Jiram Miram will blow your flippin' mind. Bursting with cumin and pepper goodness, this dish is a sweet symphony of spices enhanced by the rich flavors of melted fat and bone marrow from the tail. After hours of slow braising, the oxtail meat is irresistibly tender, practically falling off the bone with each bite. In our grand finale, get ready to tackle the most controversial protein on our menu, a whole roasted shark. Well, it might sound like something out of a maritime horror story. In this corner of India, it's just another day in the kitchen. So let's dive in and find out why.
So shark has been on the Goan menu since time immemorial. So everyone and anyone in Goa eats shark. It's nothing to do with religion or communities or anything like that. So in any Goan market, if you go to see, you see shark. And in a way, I would say on a lighter note, we are helping to keep our seas safe because we eat all the small sharks instead of they becoming big and eating us.
Give it up for shark peri peri, a Goan classic with influence all the way from South Africa, brought over to India by the Portuguese. To craft the perfect peri peri masala, combine the following ingredients: a stick of cinnamon, onions, cumin, black pepper, ginger, dry chili, clove, turmeric powder, garlic, cardamom seeds, and Goan vinegar. Then blend it all together in a yummy paste. Next, it's time to prep our shark. Remove the skin, fins, and head. Then slice the rest into inch-thick fillets. Season generously with salt and ginger garlic paste and marinate. Next, oil up the flat top and grill our seasoned shark fillets. Let them crispify on both sides. Then slather on that mouth-watering peri peri masala and let it work its magic. Once the meat's coated and cooked to perfection, it's time to dig in. The tender, flaky meat of the shark, grilled to mouth-watering perfection, is just the beginning. Infused with the fiery flavors of the peri peri marinade, this dish is a culinary journey that transports your taste buds from the shores of Goa all the way to the streets of South Africa. After diving into the wildest, most exotic proteins in Goa, I'm ready to try something a bit more normal. But in India, even that can be pretty daring. Next, get ready for 4 levels of pork, a controversial meat in many parts of this country. Pork. It's the protein powerhouse that fuels countless countries from Mexico to Hawaii. Yet for billions around the world, including Muslims, Buddhists, Jewish folks, and certain Christian denominations, swine is strictly off limits. In Goa, well, pork is fair game. Our journey begins with a local curry dish that's been quietly fading from Goan cuisine. Thankfully, at George Bar, this delicacy is preserved in its original form, unchanged for over 60 years. It's a taste of tradition, cooked today just as it was all those years ago.
Torradin was introduced by the Portuguese people, and Goan later on improved masala and taste of the torradin, and most of the masala is specially done with the Goan toddy vinegar. Because of that, it gives the good flavor, and that's how it is very tasty and very famous.
Meet pork torradina, or toasty pork. This ancient Goan gem, courtesy of the Portuguese, is prepared by grilling fatty pork pieces until they're crispy, succulent, and downright addictive. First, soak red chilies in vinegar overnight to dial down the heat and crank up the tang. The next day, toss them in a blender with salt, sugar, ginger paste, and garlic slices to get those flavors melding. Then add cumin seeds, black pepper, cloves, and cinnamon. The result is our torradina masala. Next, add oil to a pan. Then immerse the boiling pork belly chunks for 5 minutes until the edges gain a delicious crisp. Mix in our masala blend, add a bit of water, and cook it well. To finish, sprinkle in a magical mixture of chopped green chilies and coriander to further enhance the dish's flavor profile. This is the type of pork dish that you'll need a 12-step program just to get over. The taste of torradina is a delicious combination of sweet, savory, and spicy flavors. The standout taste, however, is the tangy kick from the Goan chili vinegar, which helps to cut through the pork's fattiness. Leveling up our pork game, we dive into the world of Indian pork sausage, the infamous Goan chorizo. This delicacy takes inspiration from Portugal's chorico sausage. But here there's a twist. In India's humid climate, traditional European sausage making was a no-go, so locals began preserving the meat with vinegar, giving birth to Goa's signature sausage flavor.
Chorizo is from the Portuguese, which is continued by our Goans. Until now, it's very famous, not only in Goa, but all worldwide. So most sausages are going abroad, London, Portugal, England, and Mumbai also, a lot of people take it.
Start by finely dicing the pork meat, aiming for that ideal 70% lean meat and 30% fat ratio. Season this blend with everything in your spice cabinet. Think turmeric powder, salt, Goan toddy vinegar, ginger garlic paste, and a secret red masala mix featuring Kashmiri chilies, cumin, cardamom, cloves, and bay leaves. Allow these agents of flavor to infiltrate the meat for a couple of hours, infusing it with depth and character. Now it's time for the stuffing. Using a stuffing pump, carefully fill the pork intestine casings, ensuring a snug fit. Once stuffed, divide the sausage into smaller lengths, tying them off with a knot at each end. Smoke them over an open fire for a day or two, letting them soak up all that rich, smoky goodness until they reach that perfect dark crimson hue. It's like a tanning bed for sausages. These can stay good for up to a year, and when it's time to feast, just toss those sizzling links into a hot pan and let the aroma of pure porky perfection fill the air. This is a sausage experience like no other, infused with a subtle hint of coconut, courtesy of the Goan vinegar made with coconut fenny, a double distilled spirit. This dish delivers a uniquely tropical twist. Its rustic texture, achieved by using chopped meat instead of minced, ensures that every bite is a hearty revelation, with generous chunks of meat stealing the spotlight. Our third level of pork is nestled within the walls of the oldest hotel in Goa. This 130-year-old mansion not only preserves historical architecture, but also age-old recipes, including a pork masterpiece that contains pork fat, intestines, liver, and gizzards. Presenting Pork Sorpotel, a quintessential Indian pork curry that reigns supreme during the Christmas season in Goa, deeply rooted in the region's Portuguese colonial heritage.
Sorpotel came in Goa from Portuguese time, when the Portuguese were ruled with our youngsters. So that time in Christian activities, especially for the wedding, the communion, the baptism, we had a big huge buffet of Christianity. In that every dish we have to get Sorpotel. Without this, the entire buffet is empty. People say like if there's no Sorpotel, it's not a Goan food.
To kickstart this porky journey, we begin with the masala. Into the blender goes pepper, cumin, cloves, cardamom, garlic, dry red chilies, ginger, jaggery, and Goan vinegar, all whirling together into a spicy paste. Then chop up the pork fat, intestines, and other organs into small cubes. Heat up some oil in a pan and toss in our cubed organs, giving them a quick sauté before setting them aside. In the same pan, add more oil and sauté chopped onions until golden brown. Then introduce our masala mix. Pour in some pork stock and a touch more jaggery for sweetness. Sprinkle in 2 more spoonfuls of vinegar for that extra zing, followed by the triumphant return of our organ meats. Give it a good stir and serve with a garnish of freshly chopped coriander leaves. flavors of this dish are as complex and rich as the history of Goa. It's a unique blend of familiar Indian spices with Portuguese tradition. Each organ contributes its own distinct flavor and texture, accentuated by the subtle tang of vinegar and mild spices. Our final level of pork is the most expensive pork dish we could find, a dish reserved only for the grandest celebrations like weddings, New Year's, or Christmas. Prepare for an entire piglet roasted whole.
The suckling pig weighs around 5 kg and the stuffing and all that goes up to 7 kg. The stuffing is pork meat, then sausage, then dry fruits, raisins, then roasted cashew nuts, breadcrumb, and herbs like cilantro and all that.
To start, we need to prep the stuffing. Heat up some olive oil in a massive copper pan and toss in chopped garlic and onions. Follow that with diced carrots, chopped pork belly, and a splash of red wine. Then add the star of the show, Goan chorizo sausage. Yep, the same flavorful stuff we enjoyed earlier. Now it's time to amp up the flavors even more. Add water, nuts, raisins, salt, white pepper, fresh cilantro, and cubes of herbaceous bread to soak up all those delicious juices. Mix it all together and check it out. Your piglet stuffing is good to go. Next, carefully stuff everything inside the stomach cavity of our piglet. Then seal it shut tight. Now let's surround the piggy with some aromatic goodness. Mix together rosemary, garlic, and diced root vegetables like carrots, red onions, celery, and potatoes. Drizzle with olive oil, season with salt and pepper, and arrange them around our little friend on the baking tray. Lastly, give the pig a nice olive oil rub down to ensure that crispy, bubbly skin we all love. Pop it in the oven and let it bake for a leisurely 4 hours on low heat. Once it's done, give it a final glaze of olive oil and paprika. Then it's time to dig in and savor every succulent bite. This oven-roasted pig is fit for Indian royalty and quite possibly the crown jewel of Goan pork dishes. As you slice into it, the skin crackles like fireworks on the 4th of July. With each bite, you're greeted by a warm embrace of aromas, a blend of spices, rendered pig fat, and savory stuffing. Slow roasted for hours, every morsel is tender, juicy, and bursting with flavor. The smoky essence of chorizo sausage takes center stage in the stuffing, balanced by a subtle sweetness from the dried fruits. It'll have you craving seconds before you've even finished your first bite. 4 levels of pork showed us the turf side of Goa, but now it's time to bring out the surf side. I want to see what unique aquatic creations we can find. I'm talking Goan seafood, baby. Let's go. For all the crab aficionados out there, our first contender takes the hassle out of shell cracking and goes right to the flavor.
When you're coming to Goa, Goa is a land where you have seafood and a crab is a delicacy. So eating a crab that is basically off bone is a specialty. So people who cannot eat the full crab with their own hands, they prefer the stuffed crabs. And since it is infused with a Goan masala, it adds to the taste of Goa.
Here's the scoop on Goan stuffed crab. Start by heating up a pan and adding in a splash of oil. Then throw in some minced garlic and onions to kick things off with a sizzle. Next up, elevate the flavor profile with chopped tomatoes and the real MVP, Goan red masala paste, a fiery concoction of Kashmiri red chilies and local spices that bring the heat to level 11. Now on to the main event, tender boiled crab meat. Add a dollop of tomato ketchup for that perfect tang and a pinch of salt to taste. Stuff it all back into its former shell residence for a presentation that's as impressive as it is delicious. The crab meat is soft, juicy, and ready to rock your taste buds. It's like a beach day in your mouth, minus the sunburn and the seagulls stealing your sandwich. And then there's the masala mix, adding a hint of spice to distract you from your existential dread. It's the perfect match for our crustacean friend, taking it beyond a flavor town and all the way to a flavor metropolis. Time for seafood level 2, a coconut-based curry that's determined to drag the humble prawn out of its comfort zone and into uncharted culinary territory. This dish is infused with exotic local fruits like kokum and bilimbi, and I promise you, those are real fruits that exist, and they just might make you question everything you thought you knew about seafood.
Prawns curry is it's a local staple diet. A Goan would every day want fish in his house. Okay, so it would be either fish curry or a prawns curry. And with the Goan cuisine, there's a lot of spices which are involved into it. There's a lot of coconut flavor which comes into it, and plus we use a lot of vinegar. And we use something called bimli, which gives a nice sort of sour taste, I would say. And it blends very well with the fish curry. And this is authentic homemade Goan cuisine.
Say hello to Goan prawn curry. First up, the masala. Grab your blender and throw in some grated coconut, cloves, cumin, black peppercorn, garlic, coriander seeds, and let's not forget the star of the show, balimbi fruit, a tangy citrus native to Goa that's probably wondering how it got roped into this mess. Add in some chopped onions, turmeric powder, dried chilies, and tamarind water, then blend it all until it's smooth. Now heat up some coconut oil in a pan and get those onions, chopped tomatoes, and sliced green chilies sizzling away. Then add our blended masala paste, a splash of water, and a pinch of salt to taste. Add coconut milk and dried kokum, a sour fruit similar to tamarind that's just happy to be included. It's certain to add a tangy kick to this dish, balancing out the spicy and savory flavors. While that's simmering away, clean and undress the prawns, then season with turmeric powder and lime. Once they're all dolled up, let them take a dip in our curry concoction. Sprinkle some fresh coriander leaves and chopped green chilies on top, then serve. Now, I don't want to oversell it, but this curry is basically the unofficial king of rice pairing in Goa. It's got all the makings of flavor royalty, tangy, sour, and spicy, with just a hint of coconut to keep things interesting. And let's talk about those prawns, shall we? They're like little balls of joy, bouncing around your mouth and giving your taste buds the time of their lives. It's the kind of pleasure that can only come from seafood that's been cooked to absolute perfection. Seafood Level 3 brings us to a food spot that serves the crispiest seafood in Goa. I'm talking about Mussels Rawa Fry. Right now we're stepping into Crunch Central. So are you ready?
Mussel shinanio is Goa's favorite. This mussel dish is cooked in every Catholic wedding. So what they do in the Catholic wedding is they have the shell, they have the mussels, sometimes they do rava, but mainly is the masala fry, the reshado masala. Just toss it and put over the shell. It's very simple, very basic, and it's very healthy as well.
So let's break it down step by step. First, give those mussels a little TLC with some salt, just a dash and a gentle massage, enough to remind them that they're not alone in this cold, cruel world. Next comes the star of the show, Reshado Masala. This stuff is everywhere in Goan seafood, like that one friend who always manages to sneak into every group photo, even when you explicitly told them not to show up. Now onto the fun part. Coat the marinated mussels in semolina, the same stuff they make couscous out of. This is what's gonna give our mussels that irresistible crunch factor. Finally, drop the mussels on the hot tawa and pour in some oil to let it crispify on all sides before serving. Mussels Rawa Fry. It's like the VIP guest at every beach bar and restaurant in Goa. You'll spot it on every menu, and for a good reason. That crispy semolina shell, it crackles with every bite. Inside, you'll find that tender mussel meat, tangy and spicy, courtesy of the Reshado Masala. Seafood Level 4 introduces a controversial protein cooked up in a traditional curry found exclusively here in Goa. This dish redefines sour and spicy, offering a flavor experience like no other. And it's not just shaking up taste buds, it's also giving locals and tourists a whole new perspective on seafood. Because why settle for the usual when you can dive into a dish that's as bold and as daring as your decision to wear socks and sandals?
The dish ambotik is a traditional Goan dish. It is basically made with fish, and the fish what we use traditionally in Goa is shark. Shark being widely available everywhere. We do not have any restrictions of shark wherever some other places are banned. The second option also, you could do it with sardines, but however we do it with shark.
Meet Shark Amboti, a dish that's here to shake up your seafood routine, whether you asked for it or not. First things first, let's make the masala. Throw in some red chilies, black pepper, cloves, cinnamon, cardamom, garlic, ginger, tamarind, red onions, Goan potty vinegar, turmeric powder, and cumin seeds. Give it all a good blitz until it transforms into a mouth-watering paste. Next, the shark cuts. Season them up with salt, ginger garlic paste, turmeric, and a squeeze of lemon. Let them marinate for a few hours to soak up all that flavor goodness. Now heat up a pan and pour in some oil. Toss in chopped garlic, ginger, green chilies, and sliced onions. Then saute until they're nice and fragrant. Now add in our ambotik masala, along with a splash of water, a pinch of sugar, Goan vinegar, and kokum, a local sour fruit that's like the distant cousin of the mangosteen. Finally, lay down our marinated shark cuts and let them simmer in the masala for a solid 5 minutes. When it's all said and done, serve it up in a bowl with some kokum and sliced green chilies on top. This dish lives up to its name. The tang from the kokum and tamarind hits you first, followed by the spicy kick from the chilies and black pepper. It's like a flavor roller coaster, rushing through your mouth with every bite of the tender shark meat, which practically melts between your fingers. For our fifth and final level of seafood, we're pulling out all the stops. Here we have a whole snapper, stuffed with a flavor explosion of intense masala and grilled to absolute perfection. Allow me to introduce snapper recheado, a Goan classic with Portuguese roots. In fact, the name itself, recheado, means stuffed in Portuguese.
Rachado masala is Goan cultural recipe that is brought by the Portuguese people to Goa. Using snapper gives more richness to the dish you are preparing. Also, marinating it with the rechad gives a very distinct flavor, as rechad itself is high in heat, spices, sweet and tanginess. So it combines.
Start by soaking loads of dry red chilies in vinegar overnight for that extra kick. Then we heat up a pan over high heat and add pepper, cinnamon, cumin, and cloves, letting them release their aromatic goodness before setting them aside. Next up, we saute garlic, ginger, black pepper, and red onions in the same pan until they're golden brown, adding them to our roasted spices. Now throw everything into the blender, then blend until smooth. After that, you've got yourself some recheado masala. Finally, prep your giant snapper by patting it dry with a paper towel to remove any excess moisture. Trim out the fins and the gills with scissors, because let's be honest, nobody likes a fish with excess baggage. Now stuff the masala inside the fish and rub it on the outside. After that, all that's left to do is to drop it on the grill. Serve on a plate covered with banana leaves along with onions, bell peppers, and a beetroot salad. Finish with a touch of radish. This dish's tangy and spicy flavors have earned its permanent place in the hearts and stomachs of Goan seafood lovers. The smoky flesh of the snapper brings it all together. But let's not forget about the star of the show, the snapper itself. Inside that crispy, smoky exterior lies a world of flaky, soft goodness that's as sweet as it is satisfying. You'll find tender muscle meat, tangy and spicy, courtesy of the rachado masala. After a full day of indulging on all the treasures of the Goan Sea, which dish stole the show for you? Was it the easy-to-eat stuffed crab, the creamy prawn curry, the crispy crunch of mussels rawa fry, the sour and spicy shark ambotik, or the stuffed rachado snapper? For me, it was definitely the rachado snapper. There's just something about sinking your teeth into a whole fish grilled over charcoal that hits different. Plus, that rachado masala, even though it's nearly impossible to say, it's really the secret weapon behind so many iconic Goan seafood dishes. But enough about me, what about you? Which level of seafood stole the spotlight for you? Let us know downstairs in the comments below. And for more indulgent feasts for your senses, be sure to subscribe to Best Ever Food India. Thanks, bye!